glass, the lights are thin. We start again beneath the skin. A quiet pulse, a hidden grin. The night pulls us in. Your eyes reflect the sound. The world turns underground. Every move profound. Every breath unbound. Your hands unfold the dark. The silence leaves a mark. The rhythm lights a spark. We drift and bark. No fear, no sound, no rules around. Just hearts unbound. Just ground. Silver night we fade away. Bodies speak what words can't say. Every beat we play keeps the dawn at bay. Silver night we don't explain. We lose the shape, remain. Every spark a chain inside the rain. Your breath, a slow desire. The dark rewrites the line. No truth, no sign, just what's mine. The air been soft and clear. You pull me near. The rhythm disappears, but I'm still here. Silver night, we fade away. Bodies speak what words can't say. Every beat we play keeps the dawn at bay. Soft like silk, a dark remains. Echoes hum through hidden veins. Nothing breaks, nothing stains. The silver night remains. Soft light falls, we fade and slow. Shadows curve where feelings go. No words tonight, no need to show. Just heartbeats echo, glow by glow. Your hands, they speak, they don't explain. Every touch rewrites the vein. I move, you pull, we lose again. The rhythm smooth, the heat remains. We dance inside the quiet air. Each breath, a spark, a small affair. The night pretends it doesn't care, but something pulls us there. Close, don't hide, let the bass decide. Low tide, world denied. Golden hour in your eyes. The world below the silence lies. Every move a small disguise. We burn but never realize. Golden hour still in flame. Every spark repeats my name. We're the same.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's going to be a quick update on everything we discussed this week. Smash the likes. How's it going, Sai? How's it going, Zinni? Mark is in here too. Why are you so sure there's going to be a crash? What if it crashes the other way? What if it crashes to the upside? Oh, okay. So what you're asking is, this current crash, how long is it going to last?
Your breath repeats inside the room, warm like smoke, a quiet bloom. The bass consumes the gloom. We move, resume. Eyes closed, we fade in the rhythm we made. No light, no shade, just the sound replayed under the echo.
Alrighty, so is there anything that you guys want to talk about in specific, other than Bitcoin, of course? I'm setting up the charts as we speak. I'm not sure who those people are, but anyone screaming massive crash for sure. I don't know, man. We can position for further downside because the trend is looking down at the moment, but to just be so confident on a crash is something dramatic. All right, let's just jump into the charts today. We'll take it easy, take it stress-free, keep it mango. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And here we have the Ichimoku on the weekly time frame. We'll get back to this in a bit. I do want to quickly start with some housekeeping. We did post 2 new premium videos on the Mango dashboard. One of them, or maybe both of them, are already pumping. It's looking really, really good. So if you guys are subscribed to the Mango dashboard, make sure to check out the premium videos, because I've given you guys both of us, Kush and I, have given you guys a setup on both the charts with your entry, with your invalidation as well. There's also a birthday coupon running at the moment for Krishna's birthday, and the coupon is Cake26. It is applicable on all of our programs: the Mango Seed, the Mango Dynamic, the Mango Lifeline, and the Mango Dashboard. Especially for those of you who are interested in the upcoming updated, overhauled version of the dashboard, I recommend taking advantage of the coupon while you can. Speaking of the dashboard, let's go through the dashboard. I'm going to be starting off with the TradFi section this time around, because I want you guys to do something very, very simple as a routine moving forward, right? Either do this once a week or do this every 3 days. Just go on over to the market sector section over here. That's it. That's all you need to do. And just scroll through and keep an eye on which of the sectors are long, right? And it'll give you a general idea of whether the markets are generally bullish or bearish. At the moment, you guys can see that the energy Krisha is here with a drink for me. Thank you, Krisha. That's good, refreshing. And the energy sector is long, and we have utilities long as well. Other than that, though, the markets aren't looking all that good in TradFi, right? Switching on over to crypto, though, we're beginning to see the reverse play out, right? Over the past few days, crypto has been showing surprising strength considering what has been going on with the rest of the space. If we go ahead and just go through a routine, right? What do we like to do? We like to start with the 4-hour time frame and then scroll all the way to the weekly time frame while keeping an eye on the trend over here on the top right hand corner. The 4-hour has now flipped short because of the pullback that we're going to be talking about very soon, and that pullback was expected. The 12-hour long, that is a interesting development. The daily long, interesting development. The 2-day neutral, interesting development. Remember, these guys were all short for the longest time. We're beginning to start seeing some strength on the mid time frames. The 4-day, however, and the weekly are still putting downward pressure on the markets. What I find really interesting is how the 12-hour time frame over here is long, and the daily has flipped long as well, giving us that underlying mid time frame reversal opportunities. How's it going, Steve? Good to see you in here. Let's see who else we got in the chat. Sai, how's it going? He says, I know Mark will kill me, but I want to put the chart at the first for the dump. I'm not sure what you mean over there. All right. Moving on now, I want to talk about this weekly cloud setup over here. Now, if you guys haven't watched the daily video that I posted just yesterday, I highly, highly urge you guys to take 7 minutes of your time and watch that video. Hell, if you guys watch it at 2x speed, all it's going to take you is 3.5 minutes of your time, and you're going to learn a lot. I talked about how it is very likely that we're going to see a rejection of the bottom of the cloud, and how I'm not interested in bidding at the bottom of the cloud over here until we either claim it, basically close a weekly candle above it, or we see a pullback and we get an opportunity to buy back lower. And that's exactly how it played out, right? And I want to take you guys on over to. So, firstly, in the video, we talked about some complex ideas in regards to the Tenkin, Kijun, Cloud, etc. on the lower time frames and how you can look to bid it, right? For those of you who don't want to get into the complexities of any of that, I recommend just using the Mango Lifeline, where you can simply turn on the Lifeline and it gives you key levels that you guys can buy, right? And you can see that right over here, there's a buy opportunity coming at $72,000. However, look at the invalidation level. The invalidation level on the Mango Lifeline is coming in all the way at 69,172. That lines up perfectly, right, with the invalidation that I showed you guys in the daily video lining up with the Kijun. I'm going to go ahead and switch on over right here, right? In the daily video, we talked about how, hey, the Kijun can be used as a perfect invalidation level. And until then, we have nothing to worry about, right? We are expecting Bitcoin to have that disequilibrium on the Ichimoku and see a pullback. So that was expected, right? But a lot of you got confused. I received a lot of PMs regarding should we buy the Tenkin or should we buy the Kijun? That's where the Ichimoku can get a tad bit confusing, and the Lifeline is really, really, really good at just simplifying things for you guys. And you can say, you know what, I am not feeling all that safe buying this high up. I'm just going to wait for the invalidation level and bid the invalidation level. Why would you want to bid the invalidation level, you ask? Well, the reason you bid the invalidation level is because up until it closes underneath the invalidation, you're not invalidated. Because that's how we like to play it at Mango, right? You're only invalidated if you close a candle underneath the invalidation. So what does that allow us to do? It allows us to take on risk while losing very little. But if it does bounce, our targets remain intact. Because here we have our targets: 76,000 first target, 79,000 second target, and I believe we have another target right over here, 90,000. And now it's laid out for you on a platter, right? It's objective for you. You don't need to overthink, should I sell here, should I not sell here? You already have 3 targets laid out for you, where you can say, I'm going to divide my position by 3 and take 30%, 30%, 30% off each time. And by the time it hits target 3, you're pretty much out of your position. You've taken profits and you got in all the way at $69,000, a move to 90,000. That's a $20,000 upside move. However, if it closes underneath here, you lose maybe $1,000, maybe less, maybe $500, maybe $100, right? It could be trivial. That's how you set up good trades, right? Don't just look at the indicator and not think about things. What you're going to be doing is saying, hey, do I like my edge from here to here? If you like that edge, by all means, put on the trade right now, right? And by the way, it's not wrong to do so. Your position sizing is what's going to matter, right? However, if you're saying, no, you know what, I don't like the edge because my size is not going to warrant the profits, I don't care about that stress, I'm going to wait for price to come down here. And then that edge gets worth it, right? A good 10% move, right? All the way to $75,000, 76 actually. And then another move to 79,000. And then finally, the third leg to around 90,000, right? And each time you could build into the trade as well. So that's how you can use the Lifeline to keep your life simple. It's clean, it's easy, and people who are confused with the Ichimoku and haven't watched the modules and see it in regards to fully deriving the power of the Ichimoku, you guys can keep it simple like this. Any questions? I told him to stay off the lower time frame, says Mark, and he wants to look at the 1 second time frame. Oh boy, dude, that's the least Mango thing you could do. Keep things simple, guys. That's why the indicators we make too, it's an amalgamation of all the tools that we like to use, and we put it together to keep life simple for you guys. That way you don't have to go through the complexity that we go through. And again, remember, the Lifeline 2 is included in the sale, right? And the Lifeline is already stupidly priced, like cheaply. You guys can find out more about it at themangoway.com/lifeline. There's a video here where Mark explains everything, and you can go through the entire page. And the coupon applies to the Lifeline as well. I recommend taking advantage of the lifetime plan on this while you can, because we're not sure how long that deal, especially combined with the coupon, is gonna last. So yeah, any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. I want to go on with XRP now. XRP2, by the way, you can do the same thing. Simply use the lifeline. That's what I'm eyeing right now. I'm looking at a potential trade on XRP. I'm not sure whether I should get greedy or not and wait for this zone over here between 142 and the invalidation at 138. If I get that right, I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to jump on it because it's going to be so easy to exit if I'm wrong on that trade. That being said, XRP, its structure is so beautiful over here, guys, right? I just want to go ahead and draw it out for you guys. This is such a beautiful structure at the moment, right? That I'm not sure we're going to get that deep, right? It's looking really strong. It could bounce over here and then make another attempt at the highs over here, target 2. And quite honestly, this edge over here is nicer than the edge on Bitcoin's buy opportunity level. We're seeing 15% to the target at around $1.67 and a 10% move to $1.60. Yeah, 10% to $1.60. And then target 3 is looking like a good 30% move, right? This is really, really nice. And we don't have to think about anything. Just put on the trade right over here. If we close here, I may do that. And if we do tap, let's say in the next like 12-hour candle close, we close underneath, then I'm going to wait for a opportunity somewhere in the zone. And it won't look as nice then. I have to tell you that. I have to be honest. It won't look as nice. But if we bounce, it's going to look even nicer, right? And that's exactly what I was talking about in yesterday's live stream too, guys, or rather day before. The more uncomfortable things are, that's where the juiciest opportunities are. And that's exactly where you stand to lose the least as well. Because you can get invalidated very, very quickly. Something else I did want to talk about in regards to Bitcoin. I want to go back to this for a tap because a lot of people are confused as to why was I looking for a pullback at the bottom of the cloud, even though on the 12-hour we saw a breakout of the range, right? And there were two factors that came into play over here. Firstly, the higher time frames always win, right? We always look for the higher time frames to exert their dominance onto the lower time frames, and the high time frames giving us that resistance over here was very, very, very clear, and it overpowers what the 12-hour could want to do. That doesn't mean the 12-hour can't win, but it just means that we have to give the edge to the high time frames. Secondly, there's this other idea that I've been talking about for a while now, where this entire cycle for the past like 3 to 4 years now, we have noticed how every breakout should be allowed to break back into the range without invalidating the breakout. What do I mean by that? Well, I've drawn it out over here for you guys. Let me switch to my drawing. Breaking back into the range, right? What do I mean by that? Let's say you have a structure like this where we have an ascending triangle. I've drawn two structures for you guys, 1 and 2, right? Let's say you have a ascending like triangle structure that decides to break out of the range. Okay. What I implore you guys to do is not play the breakout of the range as your invalidation, but play the trend as your invalidation. And if you're looking at the trend, you have a low over here and a low over here, right? So your higher low within the range should be allowed to be your invalidation and not this horizontal over here, okay? What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of traders, they'll play the breakout in a way that if it breaks back into the range, they're invalidated. But this entire cycle, what has been happening is price has been breaking out of the range, breaking back into the range, holding trend within the range, and then continuing, right? This happens at least 70 to 80% of the time, every time we have a breakout. It does not invalidate. Instead, what it does is break back into the range, hold trend, because the trend is held as long as you're holding high lows. So we have low, high low, and high low, right? But breakout traders have been screwing themselves out of trades by buying the breakout and then getting shook out at the high low. What you're better off doing is saying, no, I'm not going to buy the breakout because there's a high probability that we break back into range. I'm going to hunt for a high low into the range, and then I'm going to look for continuation, right? If you don't get that high low, instead if it comes and breaks underneath, well, you take the loss over there. This increases your probability of winning though. There's no certainty, but a higher chance of winning, a significantly higher chance. And that's exactly what I was looking for, guys, on this setup over here. I'm like, hey, we have high time frame weekly resistance, and on the 12-hour time frame, I'm seeing a breakout that is likely going to break back into the range. So I'm going to allow for this to come all the way back down to the invalidation level on the Mango Lifeline, right? You can use a Mango Lifeline as your invalidation over here off the trend. And what does it do? It lines up with this low over here. Now, the low that I'd like for it to hold is over here, but that's too far into the range, right? Too deep. That's why XRP is a much better looking chart at the moment than Bitcoin in terms of its range, right? It just basically, to trade. Look at that. This is a perfect structure over here, right? We can use the zone to say, hey, I'm going to buy this. And if it loses the zone, I'm going to be looking at this kind of invalidation and I'll just exit. However, if it bounces, well, all those idiots, those noobs who bought the breakout, and by the way, I'm seeing veteran traders over here on Twitter do stupid shit like this. It makes no sense to me. Are they, do they even watch the charts? Are they even being dynamic with their approach? Or are they just going to be stuck in their old ways? The old ways don't work anymore, right? You got to be dynamic with your approach. And this entire cycle, breakouts have been allowed to break into the range and then they see continuation. Or yeah, they break down because we are in a bear market, right? If we are in a bear market and this wants to break down, at this period, we should allow for that, which leans into the idea that we shouldn't be too eager to buy breakouts, right? If it's a bear market and you're seeing a downtrend, right? Lean into the downtrend and say, hey, okay, I want to flip bullish over here, but let's be patient, right? My video yesterday was saying, hey, be patient, be patient, be patient. Similarly over here, if you have a W-like structure, this one's a tad bit harder to play because now your invalidation is all the way here, right? You should allow for the breakout, break back into the range, right? Now, what I like to do is take 50% of the range, set my invalidation over there, allow for price to come at least down somewhere around here, and then look for continuation. Any questions? Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to look at it, Mark. Mark says that break back into the range has been occurring so often that it's setting up a nice framework for a lot of low time frame short trades if you expect that. Yeah. Bitcoin. This was a pretty good short opportunity at the bottom of the cloud because it was a high certainty rejection over here. I just wasn't comfortable playing into this one. So that alone should have allowed me to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should be looking to put on a short trade here. It's just really difficult to be looking to short Bitcoin so close to the weekly 200 moving average. It's a really tough situation, right? Because usually when you have these bear markets, the weekly 200 moving average is not so close to the bottom of the cloud. Like, look at the deviation over here between the cloud and the weekly 200 moving average. That was a good $12,000 move back then, a 34% move, right? Even over here, the previous cycle, that was huge. Look at that, 67% move. So if there's anything that's highlighting the compressing volatility of Bitcoin each cycle, it's the cloud, the Ichimoku cloud, and its relationship to the weekly 200 moving average, because the cloud is far more dynamic than most indicators, right? It's always adjusting itself. And the weekly 200 moving average, that delta between the bottom of the cloud and the weekly 200 moving average has never been this tight. Kisha says thoughts on NDQ SPY. SPY is not looking the strongest in my opinion. We could see a surprise to the upside, but eventually this year I'm looking for a potential move down to the Kijun, right, on the weekly time frame over here. Look at that C-span, Kisha. It's not looking the best. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do push up to get everyone bullish again, lose the Tenkin again, but this time come to test the top of the cloud over here would be the first level that you'd expect support. Kijun likely moves up too by then, so I'd look towards the top of the cloud over here. Yeah, I'm not too bullish on this. Dixie making its way up too. This is looking a tad bit better. I'm a bit biased over here, but let's see. So we covered XRP. XRP has a really good setup. Looking towards 94 if we can hold the zone over here, okay, provided we hold $1.42. And if you guys are on the Mango C program, I recommend using your Mango risk management indicator along with the Mango Lifeline. Like, use your Mango Lifeline for setting your buy levels, use the Mango risk management indicator for understanding where you should be setting up your stop losses and your invalidation levels without getting wicked out of your trade. That's what it protects you from staying in the trade for a long period of time, especially if you're looking for the bigger move on XRP. The Mango risk management indicator in the C program is perfect for that. If you guys are simply playing it only based on the Lifeline, I would still recommend waiting for candle close on the invalidation, right? Don't let a wick underneath this level shake you out of your trade. I think we can wrap up there. I wanted to keep today's video or today's live around 30 minutes long, and we are hitting the 30-minute mark. If you guys have any requests for coins, feel free to ask. Remember, again, we did post 2 premium videos already today. Krisha's birthday coupon is running at Cake26, right? That's the coupon code. Applicable on all of our products: Mango Seed, Mango Dynamic, Mango Lifeline, and yeah. Cheers. Appreciate that, Mark. Keep it mango, keep it easy, keep it stress free. I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.